challenge. Who's had a challenge to open that up?
I am. I don't know how to do that.
Okay, well, I think you're on your iPad, Dennis, yeah?
No.
I usually, I've been doing the last couple of weeks, I'll just look at the room and I'll just add the names into the spreadsheet. But
Sign me in.
okay, I will do that. I will do that. And I'm impressed with some people who have gone in there and done it. I'm like, oh, they figured it out. That's awesome.
What are you eating, Dennis?
I don't know, some kind of a taco thing, but it's very good.
Okay.
Left over from last night.
JP, I just met somebody who's a food blogger, Parisian food blogger. And I had not invited her to this, but I invited her this morning for something else. And she didn't come, but I was checking out her site, and she's from an island called, I'm gonna mess it up, Runyon?
La Réunion. This is in the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean.
Oh,
It's not in France. It's far away near Mauritius.
Ah, okay. I gotta look up the geography because she said she cooks French food, spicy French food.
Oh, great. Well, that sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Invite
was
her
saying-
again.
Yeah. Yeah. I was telling her I gotta introduce you to JP.
All right. Please go ahead. That's nice.
Hi, Bill. Hi, Paul. Hello, Ferry and Mr. Kurtenbach. Good to see you.
Sorry, it's just connecting.
Okay. Hello, Jen.
Hi, Fari.
Hey, hi everybody.
Happy
Hi,
belated birthday.
Thank you so much for the card. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Very nice. Glad you got it.
Thank you.
Hello, Chris Norgard.
Hello,
How are you?
good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, Jen. Are you a guest of someone today?
Hi, I'm here to make an announcement about the.
Oh, okay. You're a guest of Maurice. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm,
Okay. Yeah, you got it.
and I see a lot of familiar faces.
Okay.
What a good.
Hi, Jen. Can I ask you something right here? I see all the links on the high school emails and so forth, but can you send me a link and easy to hit registration for the Golf Classic?
I will do that, Chris.
Thank you.
No problem. Actually, I think, Maurice, were you going to help me out and maybe put some of that in the chat so that you could download it and, or, that way it can get out to all the members?
Yeah, I think, Aaron, we were going to put something in the chat along with some files of the 2 flyers.
Okay. You want me to put it in the chat?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. There's 2 flyers.
And you're going to have to allow about 5 minutes to introduce Jen because she has such a huge resume. We'll only get to some of it.
Maurice, do not need to give them my whole life story. I think
No, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you.
Hi, Marcella. Good to see you. Debbie, good to see you. Welcome, Mitch. You can't hear me. He's not connected yet. Okay, we'll get started in a few minutes.
And Barbara, I have one question for our guest that I was reminded of yet again this morning as I drove to my office, and that is, what can be done to make the half of my life that I spend adjacent to Dodger Stadium on the 110 more enjoyable?
Make that a final question, will you, Chris?
Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Aaron. My link wasn't working, so sorry.
Okay, good to see you.
Nice to see all of you. Thank you.
Jason, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Jason Kusagaya. Oh, hey, hi. Okay, I'm gonna rename you, okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay. Jason is my guess.
And Barbara's guest, Corbin, is here too.
Yes, yeah.
Welcome,
Corbin.
Corbin.
Hello.
Hey, Corbin, it's good to see you. Corbin is joining
Yeah.
us from Meridian, Idaho.
Wow.
Oh,
Hi, Isaac.
Hello, Aaron.
Hello, Molly.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Aaron.
Hi, Isaac.
Hey, Molly.
Hello.
Hi, Isaac. Hi, Barbara. Hi. Who's that? Arlene.
Hi, Molly.
Mhm.
Hi, Andrew. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Why did you say hi to me? I'm just kidding.
Oh, hi, Gilda.
I'm impressed that you're here, Andrew, now that you're in Arizona. That's so sweet.
That what?
Andrew's in Arizona and still joining us.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
nice.
Well, you guys are so great. There's just no way I can avoid these meetings.
Well, we're grateful that you stayed with us. It's very sweet.
Mhm.
Grateful to have you.
Andrew, you can be our man in Arizona. It's perfect.
That's right.
All right, we're really branching out, Barbara.
Yep. Today, Arizona, tomorrow, the world.
Hello, Shodi.
Hi, Aaron.
Good to see you. Mitch, now that you're connected, good to see you.
Was there a problem? Because at first it said something about a service error, unless that was just me.
I don't think so.
Me too.
Oh, that's strange. Okay. Hi, Devin.
Hi.
I don't know if you guys can see the chat for new people coming in. I don't think so. Let me copy it. It's the sign in. I'm gonna submit it again here.
Jen, did you want me to share the flyers, or do you want me just to attach them to the chat later on?
Either way, if you put them in the chat, then everybody that's here in the
Okay.
meeting can download it. But if you're able and willing to share with your general membership, maybe via email, you send it out as an attachment, then everybody will have it in their inbox so that they don't have to pull it off of the meeting. And then the people who aren't in the meeting can also
Right.
have the information as well.
Okay.
Up to you, whatever is easiest. I'm just so grateful that you've allowed me to join you guys
Oh, of
today.
course, of course.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to start a little early because we have quite a bit of announcements, and I want to make sure that we start our program on time. Hello, John. Thank you for joining us. And Lois, good to see you.
Yep.
All right. As we remember that March is Water and Sanitation Month in the Rotary world, I call the March 25th, 2021 meeting of the Rotary Club Assembly to order. We are truly a club that
Makes
makes a
a difference.
difference.
makes a difference. Okay, please stand and join me in reciting the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the
is
truth?
it the truth? Second,
Is it
is
fair
it
to
fair
all
to all
concerned?
concerned? Third,
Will it
Will
be
be
to build
goodwill
goodwill
and
and better
better
friendship. Fourth,
will be
be
beneficial
beneficial
to
to all
concerned.
concerned. Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation led today by Maurice Saldivar.
Everyone, if everyone would please stand for the flag salute and place your right hands over your heart. And join me in the flag salute. Ready, begin.
I
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United
States of
America
and to
and
the
the
republic
republic for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
and
justice for all.
And I will do our invocation today. I have two short ones. The first one is for Rotary. Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour, asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered together. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct your work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Grant us the desire and your will to find ways to excel in our work. And the second prayer is going out especially to the educators and anyone in education who's dealing with parents. I've retitled this the Parent Serenity Prayer. Grant parents the serenity to accept the things they cannot change, courage to change the things they can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Maurice.
Thank you.
Okay, please be seated. We will now do introduction of guests. Gilda?
Okay, welcome everybody. If you have not had a chance, make sure you go into the chat. There is a sign in for members and for guests. You can sign in. We'd like to keep track and hopefully follow up with you for future events. So let's see here. We know that Dr. Marcella Marlowe is with us today, City Manager with San Marino in beautiful Orange. Welcome. And I think, Aaron, you have a guest.
Yes, my guest is Jason Kusagaya. I've known Jason since junior high. He and I both graduated in South Pass, and he actually changed my life back then. He encouraged me to join the school newspaper as a photographer, and my life has been changed ever since. So welcome to Jason.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Barbara, if you want to introduce your guest, Corbin.
Yes, I'm happy to introduce Corbin Long, who is a 13-year-old joining us from Meridian, Idaho. And Corbin plays Little League. He's a pitcher, a first baseman, plays outfield, and is a Dodger fan. It turns out you can take the boy out of California, but you can't take the Dodgers out of the boy. Also, my brother, Bob Franks, is on or will be on, and he worked for the Dodgers from 1970 to 1981. Wow. He was a bat boy, he was a ball boy, and he was a practice batting pitcher for the Dodgers. So welcome, Bob and Corbin.
Okay, wonderful. And then Maurice, if you want to introduce Jen.
Thanks, everyone. I have the pleasure and honor of introducing Jen Schwang. I don't want to take too much time introducing her because I know she's got some great things to say, but just real quick, Jen is former San Marino Schools Foundation member, PTA president, incoming PTA president, and grad night chair, and most recently headed the campaign in support of Measure E. These are just a few of the things she's done in addition to running a business and being a full-time mom. She's just always a pleasure to work with her. Just an overall awesome, involved person. And thanks, Jen, for coming. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Maurice.
Welcome, Jen. I see a number that's dialed in. I'm not sure who that is, ending in 54. Do you know who that is, Aaron?
I don't.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, and I see someone by the name of Justin Lee. Justin, if you could hear us.
Hi, Gilda. That's my student of the month.
Ah, okay, very good. All right, Justin, welcome. And I see our speaker is on as well. Mark Langill, welcome. I don't see any other guests. If I missed you, please wave at me.
I think that's it, Gilda.
Okay, very good.
Okay, great. All right, now what we're gonna do is if you can all raise your Pandemic Pig envelopes and your contributions, and go ahead and make your contributions. Barbara, I see you, Nicole, Ferry, Gilda, Denise, John, thank you all. Lois, thank you. I got you, Nicole. I think that's it. Okay, thank you all so much for your contributions. Okay, very quickly, birthdays. Someone is celebrating a birthday tomorrow, and that's Shodi Chow. Happy birthday, Shodi.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay, we have 4 member anniversaries. Chief Encontro celebrates his member anniversary on March 26th, tomorrow, 6 years. Congratulations. JP Mangi celebrates on the 31st as a 5th year. That went by pretty fast. Terry Petrillo on the 31st, 19 years with Rotary, and Dr. Richard's son, 12 years with Rotary on the 26th. So congratulations to all of you. Okay, we have quite a few announcements today, and we are going to kick it off with our student of the month so that they can get back to class on time. Can I turn it over to you, Mr. Kronbach?
Certainly. Thank you very much. Thank you, San Marino Rotary. The San Marino High School March Rotary Student of the Month is Justin Lai. Justin is an academically powerful student, currently enrolled in 4 honors and AP courses, including our Becoming Famous Caltech STEM course, where he is conducting research with Caltech researchers. He's been a member of the varsity swim team all 4 years at San Marino High School and is a team captain. He's involved in a multitude of clubs on campus, including being the vice president and co-founder of Sports Talk and Broadcasting Club. Mitch, you may want to tap this young man after I get done talking. The Computing Club, the Future Business Leaders of America Club, and is the event coordinator for the Habitat for Humanity Club. And as if that were not enough, Justin is a member of the marching band, a consistent 3-year volunteer with the Arcadia Methodist Hospital, and a member of the Boy Scouts, earning the rank of Eagle Scout. As part of earning that rank, Justin worked for over 60 hours on a project at the Ronald McDonald House. He's also a patrol leader and a den chief. During his free time, hard to believe he has any, he likes to do road biking down in Long Beach and Seal Beach, as well as trading stocks. I might be coming to him for a loan very soon. His future plans include majoring in medical engineering. So please join me in congratulating Justin Lee, San Marino High School's March Rotary Student of the Month.
Justin, we can't hear you.
Justin, can you hear us? Okay.
It's nice to know that even kids his age can have technical
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Do you want to take off your headset and maybe speak through the mic on your laptop or something? I don't know if you can hear us.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So, yeah, first of all, I'd just like to thank everyone for this honor of being Student of the Month. And yeah, I've learned so much throughout this process of going through San Marino High School, and thanks everyone for recognition.
Great, thank you so much. Do we have 1 or 2 questions for Justin? Anyone?
Justin, what are your future plans? You are well prepared through San Marino schools, and you sound like you've got a broad number of interests.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, I think that over like these last 6 years, I've really explored a lot of interests of mine. And going into college, I do want to focus on studying biomedical engineering and creating medical technologies. That's the main thing I want to do with my life.
Have you chosen a school?
No, not yet. I think all the decisions are still coming out, so I'm just waiting.
Great. Great. Thank you. If we can all give Justin a round of applause. Congratulations, Justin. Thank you so much, Mr. Kurtenbach, for doing that for us. All right. We have quite a bit of announcements, and we only have a few minutes left before we have to start our program. So I'm going to allow Jen to make her announcement, and we're going to save the other announcements for the end of the program. Is that okay? Isaac, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, Jen, you have a few minutes. We can make your announcement.
Great, thank you so much, Aaron. I'll keep it short. So hi, everybody. I'm here representing our San Marino High School Titan Golf Tournament Committee. I'm one of the chairs this year, and we are bringing back the Titan Golf Classic. This year's theme is called Around the World in 18 Holes, and we had kind of hoped that it could be a, everyone's stuck in quarantine, no one's been able to travel, so you can go and explore all of these great locales by coming to the golf tournament. Every hole is going to be a different place. So one of the great things about being in charge of the golf tournament this year is that golf is pretty much one of the only things, I don't know if you've noticed, is that can be safely done in this COVID, in the COVID environment. And we will be following all of the safety protocols for socially distancing. People will be going out in tee times. How many of you are actually golfers? Like, you actually golf? Because we have some great patron packages for Rotary members that want to participate and support the high school by being a golf patron. You get, in different levels, you'll get a prescribed number of spots, like tickets to actually play in the tournament. A single ticket is $325. But if you were a member, Shodi Chow, of San Gabriel Country Club, almost the entire fee, the entire price of your ticket will go to the high school, because San Gabriel is waiving the green fee for members of the club. So you can actually play our course, support the high school, and really do a good thing. We are, with the defeat of Measure E, we are, every site is scrambling now for how can we give our kids the best education that they can, to really tap into that superlative San Marino education. And so this is the one high school fundraiser that we're conducting all year. So if you're able to come join us for the tournament, we'd love to have you. We have some amazing things for Rotary members. I want to encourage everybody, if you golf, consider doing the $500 sponsorship, because then you get to play and you get a tee sign and you get a pin flag. So we'll give your business and your name the exposure that you expect from a tournament. All the players will see your name on a tee sign. And if you don't golf, consider doing the $250 sponsorship, because then you still get the tee sign. And you don't have to come out and you don't have to pretend that you know how to play. Just, you can support the high school. The entire amount is tax deductible, and we'll give your business, you can give us your logo, you can give us any message that you want, and we'll put it on that T sign for everybody to see. And then you'll be included in our list of sponsors that goes out on all the publications in the San Marino Tribune, in the school newsletters, and all of the other ways that we try to thank our sponsors. So I think Aaron put the information for the patrons in the chat. Hopefully we'll email out the patron flyers to the membership. So you can download it, you can set it in, you can go to the website, you can register online, whether you want to golf or not. And if I just can make a plug for a great reason to come out, this might be the one in-person event that we hold all year. So it's going to be fantastic. We've got, if you're confident about your golf skills, you could win a Maserati. Our hole-in-one prize on hole number 14 is a Maserati. So that's been generously donated by one of our members. Sorry, that's my son's lunch. It's got to come out of the oven. But we are kind of excited about the opportunities to play and to, thank you, to play and to support the high school simultaneously. So come on out. Everybody gets breakfast to go. If you're a sponsor, you get a lunch that you can eat on the patio afterwards. Again, socially distanced, everything's going to be really safe, and it's going to be such a great time. So we'd love to see you all out there. Come win a Maserati. We have a diamond necklace as a premium raffle prize. So if you aren't confident in your golf skills, you could buy a raffle ticket and you might still be able to walk away with something really great.
Thank you.
Please just let me know any questions.
Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you so much for providing us the information. I put the flyers in the chat, and thank you for coming today, Jen. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Great. All right, folks. Again, if you can stick around for the towards the end of the program, we do have some announcements to make. With that, I do want to start the program with Barbara. Ladies and gentlemen, before that, please note that we are dark on Thursday, April 1st. We are not going to be here next week, okay? We resume on April 8th, and then we have craft talks, and we want to thank the membership committee and the programs committees for putting that together for us. Let's see if we can ask everyone to place themselves on mute now. I'm going to hand it over to Barbara. Barbara?
Thanks, Aaron, very much. I want to say I learned about today's speaker from an article in the Tribune that Mitch wrote, and Mitch reached out to his friend Mark, and it's thanks to him that we really have today's speaker, Mark Langill, who is a South Pasadena resident, a graduate of South Pasadena High School, and he is the Dodger answer man. He also is the Dodger historian, and now this is a position that no other team has. Having met Mark briefly, I venture to say that no other team could find anyone like Mark. He is a very special man, and he lives and breathes Dodger blue. When asked when he was born, Mark responds, it was opening day, 1965, the same year the Dodgers defeated the Minnesota Twins to win the club's fourth World Series championship. Now, it did take Mark 7 years to get to Dodger Stadium, and he remembers he sat in aisle 44, row M, seat 1. This man's memory is astonishing. He remembers proudly wearing a Dodger jersey. He was in kindergarten. He also remembers playing Little League in South Pasadena, where admittedly he was not very good. Thanks to a tip from his grandmother, Mark learned at the age of 9 about Dodger Audio Newswire. From that day on, he began calling in daily to find out the stats for the day. Now, Mark's interest in sports did not escape his teachers, who not only encouraged him, but provided excuses so he could clandestinely listen to or watch games when, let us say, they thought he might be otherwise engaged in something more academic. Not surprisingly, while Mark was in high school, he was invited to join the newspaper staff. And yes, his beat was sports. That stint in high school led to other writing jobs for the city paper and for the Pasadena Star News. After graduating from Cal State Northridge, Mark accepted a position covering sports, and yes, the Dodgers were his beat. Now, many of us, as Aaron mentioned earlier, have a person in our lives whom we remember, or a place where we were when a light went on and our lives were changed forever. For that, it happened to Mark in grade 11 in a math class at South Pasadena High School. One day, his teacher, John Ucropina, a name familiar to San Marino, he's the brother of Jim Ucropina, told his class that he would not be doing math that day. Rather, he would be talking about their futures. To summarize, Mr. Ucropina told his class they should follow their passion and seek a career path that would enable them to love what they do to earn a living. His advice, Mark remembers vividly, if you do for a living what you love, you will never work a day in your life. As a former career counselor, that advice touched my heart. According to Mark, that advice changed his life. He followed Mr. Ucropina's advice, and since 1994, he's been living his dream job. When asked how he became a sports historian, Mark answers, don't hit the ball very well in Little League and you'll be well on your way. It's a pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, who will make some opening remarks about opening day highlights, and then he will take your questions. Mark will end the program with some thoughts about today's Dodgers. So Mark, it's a pleasure. It's all yours.
Well, thank you very much, Barbara. It's a pleasure to be with you all. And I have to say, it's kind of strange to hear an introduction like that, because if it's something that you live, it's really weird when somebody reads it and it plays like a movie. But I guess that's the case with me, because I look around and Dodger history has just always been part of my life. And around my desk area, I'm working from home. I've been at this away from the stadium office the last 54 weeks. But just like a quilt, there's negatives, there's ticket stubs, there's programs, there's all little different pieces. And opening day, that subject is so fun for me, as opposed to the playoffs. Now, I know the last 8 years, all the divisional titles in a row and everything like that, it's very exciting, but it's very different for me in the postseason, because it's very nerve-wracking, because when you have all that history in your head, it kind of feels like a popcorn machine, and you've got all this stuff brewing as far as what could happen, what's happened in the past, and everything like that. So it is super hard for me to watch the playoffs. In fact, around since 2008, if you see me at the ballpark during the playoffs, I'm usually like this, because it's just too much sometimes. When we won the pennant in 2017, 2018, Game 7 at Milwaukee, I snuck over to my favorite Chinese restaurant in Temple City, and just this tried to block it out for 6 hours. I didn't know until an hour later that we had won the pennant because literally it's just too much to watch. But opening day is different because I think that goes back to Little League. You're always optimistic, whether it's exchanging New Year greetings and we're going to have a good year, whether it's the first day of school, whether it's the first day of anything. Opening day is different because you never know what's going to happen. You've got all these previous seasons on a shelf, but this is a brand new page in a brand new book. And so if you look back, some of the opening days that I can recall fondly, and that maybe not necessarily personally, because some go back to Brooklyn, but just think about 1947 when you've got a first baseman named Jackie Robinson in the starting lineup against the Boston Braves at Ebbets Field. And at that point, it's a ball game, but nobody knows what's going to happen. Now you flash ahead to 1955, Jackie's a veteran. The Dodgers still haven't won the pennant, or they still haven't won a World Series. 1960, 1920, 41, 47, 49, 52, and 53, they haven't won a World Series. And they're always saying, wait till next year. So opening day, 1955, they win. They actually win their first 10 games in a row, and they win 22 of their 24 games to start off the season. But you don't know how it's going to end. But opening day, you've got that joy. Now flash ahead to 1958, this new team called the Los Angeles Dodgers, these famous Brooklyn Dodgers, have moved to this gargantuan stadium, the Coliseum, and you've got more than 78,000 fans at the Coliseum, April the 18th, 1958, the new Los Angeles Dodgers versus the new Giants of San Francisco. And Buzzy Bavasi, the general manager, said, you've only got one chance to make a good first impression. And the Dodgers won that first game 6-5. And Carl Erskine, who had pitched a couple no-hitters with Brooklyn and was a World Series veteran, said he stayed up all night and he was thinking. He wanted that first pitch in Los Angeles to be a strike. And Walter Alston, the manager, said, that's great, but the Giants have a new rookie, Jim Davenport. You got to knock him down. But I want to make the first pitch a strike. Come on. All right, we'll compromise. You get your first pitch a strike, then you knock him down, and that'll be fine. And that's exactly what happened. Very first pitch, strike one. Next pitch, knocked him down. Third pitch, Davenport hit it off the fence and was standing on second base when Erskine looked to the dugout and Alston just shrugged his shoulders. And so from those beginnings in 1958, this new team in Los Angeles, how is this gonna be affected? Major League Baseball finally on the West Coast. And then look at 1962. We call it the grand opening because the Dodgers actually lost that first game against Cincinnati 6-3. So if you ever see it referred to in editorial, it's always the grand opening. We don't say we lost the game, but it's the same thing, a new ballpark. And what's that going to mean to the community? What's that going to mean for generations who can suddenly look at people like Drysdale and Colfax and Wills and Tommy Davis? And then in the 70s, Garvey Lopes Russell Say. And then in the 80s, Hershiser and Gibson. Then you've got Nomo and the 5 rookies of the year in the 90s. It goes in cycles. But that's really the fun part of opening day as far as just imagine what might happen. And I have a little show and tell right here. This is something after the program I'm going to scan. And the reason I'm going to scan it is because we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Fernando Valenzuela pitching a shutout on opening day 1981. And this is my ticket. Fortunately, South Pass was on a break in 1981, and I got to be in the reserve level and to see this pitcher that really nobody had really paid attention to, and he wasn't even supposed to start the game. Jerry Royce, who had pitched a no-hitter the previous year, pulled his hamstring in the parking lot the day before. And then next in line was Bert Hooton, and he had an ingrown toenail. And so he was out. And so just imagine the day before opening day, Fernando was pitching batting practice. And all of a sudden they come out and they say, stop, stop. And he thought he was doing something wrong. And they said, no, you're pitching tomorrow. And he's just 20 years old. And he goes, okay. And Mike Brito, the scout who signed him from Mexico, said, Fernando just acted like he was going to be pitching in a Mexican League game. And it was no big deal, even though the next day, 55,000 people were going to be in that ballpark. And he beats the Astros 2-0. And he tied a major league record that hadn't been done since 1945. With all of the Fernando mania and the 5 shutouts in his first 8 starts, he actually won his first 8 major league starts. So just imagine a rookie that wasn't even supposed to start opening day, April the 9th, which by the way, our home opener, it'll be 40 years to the day that Fernando pitched the shutout. But just imagine by the second week of June, he's invited to the White House and he's meeting President Ronald Reagan and Jose Lopez Portillo, the president of Mexico. So that's really the theme that I'm looking at right now as far as the great part of opening day. It doesn't matter if you lose on opening day. Obviously, you like to win, but you don't have that drama of the playoffs, and it's certainly not the Super Bowl where you get a do-over if the Super Bowl doesn't go well for you. You only get to play one Super Bowl, and that's the difference with opening day. Opening day is a celebration. Opening day is a great tradition. Opening day is fun as far as all the little quirks that happen. For example, in 1913, they forgot one little detail. They built this new ballpark, Ebbets Field, and they forgot one little detail, the American flag, because they hadn't thought that they need that for the anthem. So sometimes you've got bugs that you've got to handle. And the other thing they realized in 1913, they also forgot the press box. And so the second day in 1913, there are two other things on the to-do list. We need to build a press box and we need to have a flag for when we have the anthem. So 2014, maybe if you remember, the Dodgers were not in Los Angeles for opening day. They were not in the United States for opening day. They weren't in Mexico. They weren't in Canada. They actually opened the season in Australia. If you remember that, we played 2 games against Arizona and then came back and rested for a week and then resumed the season. So we actually opened the season once in Australia. So that's really what I'm looking at right now for opening day as far as this package. You don't know what's going to happen, but the bunting, the celebration, the very fact that it's new and we don't know what's going to happen this season, but everything as far as the opening day, whether it's Drysdale or Colfax or Johnny Padres, everybody has different memories. And so that's what I'm looking at right now. And I've got the big smile on my face because I'm not stressed. October, that was the time when you would watch maybe with one eye open if you had the guts. And other than that, you're like, okay, I'll check my phone in 6 hours. But opening day, everything about it is appealing. Everything about it is nostalgic. And as Barbara mentioned in her introduction, sadly, that's my idea of tracing my roots. My family is like, don't you even care about the Norway or the European or any of that background? And I'm like, well, that's nice, but how cool is it that I was born opening day and Warren Spahn of the Mets at age 44 beat Claude Osteen 3-2. And I met Jimmy Lefebvre in 2008, who was coaching Team China before the Olympics. And he was telling the story of his very first home game at Dodger Stadium. And he was so excited because he was going to go up against Warren Spahn, the old man. He was telling all his friends and family that he was going to get at least 3 hits. And Spahn struck him out 3 times. And I didn't have the heart to tell him that that was the day I was born, but I knew exactly what day he was talking about. So sadly, that's my world. And please ask me. I could go on, but I think the important thing is to answer whatever historical questions, whatever you're interested in. Please ask me, because this is the time to ask. Because at the end of the day, I hear 2 magic words about my day: who and cares, and the other phrase, so what's for dinner? So my family does not want to hear this stuff, but I'm in my own little history bubble. I've been like that since I was 7, and every single day it's just so interesting to me. I'm very, very lucky, but I want to give enough time for questions. So I'd like to, anybody have any questions? And Dennis Nyer, Special K, it's great to see you. So anybody with questions, fire away.
Okay, let me change my view. Barbara, are you okay with me taking over the question?
I'm happy with you taking the questions.
Okay, our first question is for Maurice. Maurice, if you can unmute yourself.
Thanks so much, Mark. I could listen to you for hours, but I just wanted to ask, will Fernando be at the game on this opening day 40 years later?
He should be at the game. It's a matter of logistics in terms of with Jaime Herrin and the broadcasting crew. It's just a matter of making sure that the protocols are there. It makes every sense in the world that Fernando would be there. As far as where he's going to be from the broadcast booth, I haven't heard that because they're going to open up the press box. So logistic wise, but I imagine not only would he be on the field, but also there'd be a ring and a flag ceremony as well. But it totally makes sense for Fernando to be there. And I will add, 40 years later, if you ask Fernando, were you nervous at all? What was going through your mind that year you won the Cy Young Award and the Rookie of the Year in the same season? He'll still give you the same Harpo Marx answer. He doesn't tip off. He's still got the great poker face.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice. Okay, you can raise your hand if you have a question for Mark. Anyone with questions?
I think Corbin might have a question.
Corbin? Okay, Corbin, if you can go off of mute.
Sure. So it's not every day you get to meet the Dodgers historian. But one of my questions is when the Dodgers moved from Brooklyn to LA, it would have been pretty crazy for the fans all in Brooklyn to know that their home team just moved across the country. So what was the fans' reaction to that transition?
Well, if you look at the history of baseball, for 50-year period until 1953, teams just didn't move. It really wasn't thought of as a business per se, in terms of big business. So many of the teams played for ballparks that were owned by the city. And so Brooklyn, just imagine Brooklyn in the 1950s. One year they win they won the pennant, and the next year they had the Brooklyn Bum cartoon on the cover of the yearbook, and he was dreaming of a new ballpark. And the Dodgers, starting in 1946, after the war, they thought, well, we've got to build a new ballpark. And so for 10 years, they tried working with Robert Moses, who was in charge of the public works in New York. And really, they weren't getting anywhere. But that was the real impetus that helped the Dodgers move to Los Angeles, was the Braves in 1953. Because just imagine spring training, the Braves leave for spring training as Boston Braves. And 6 weeks later, they're suddenly the Milwaukee Braves. In spring training, they move. And that was the first franchise to move in 50 years. And then after that, the St. Louis Browns went to Baltimore. So at that point, it's like, okay, we've seen some teams move. And I think when you look at the success on the field for the Dodgers in the 1950s, they're the dominant team in the 1950s. They win the pennant in 52 and 53, 55 and 56. They take it to the last day of the season in 1950. They lose on Bobby Thompson's shot heard around the world home run in 1951. So on the field, they're a success. Yet behind the scenes, every time that they were in the World Series, it was frustrating for them because they'd go play the Yankees and they'd be able to fit 78,000 at Yankee Stadium. And Ebbets Field, if you crammed everybody in, you were lucky to get 30,000. So they knew that they needed to have a bigger ballpark, and the Braves in Milwaukee had a bigger ballpark. And in an era before free agency, they thought, well, we're not going to be able to compete. Now look at Los Angeles. Rosalind Wyman, still 90 years old, and I talk to her every week. It's amazing to be able to get her reminiscence about what's gone on. They're dreaming of a big league team. And around the 1956 World Series, they think that they're going to get the Washington Senators. And Walter O'Malley finds out about that and says, don't sign anything because it looks like we're not going to be able to make it work in New York. And he eventually, the next month, purchases the Los Angeles Angels franchise of the Pacific Coast League. Now, that's a long way of answering your story, but on the field, the Dodger fans in Brooklyn are so excited because they're so successful, and they're thinking they'll never move. They'll never move. They're an institution. They're an institution. And sure enough, September the 24th, 1957, you could sort of tell in the air what was going to happen. And they had about 5,000 people in the stands at Ebbets Field. And Danny McDevitt beats the Pirates 2-0. But Gladys Gooding, the organist, pretty much knows what's going on. She locks herself in her booth, and for 9 innings, she's playing funeral music, California, Here We Come, You Broke My Heart, and O'Malley in the first or second innings, banging on the door, knock it off, Gladys, knock it off. And finally, he gives up. But they were resigned to the fact that it looked like because of business and because they couldn't build a ballpark, that they were going to have to move. And so it really had nothing to do with the success of the Dodgers in Brooklyn or the support of the fans. Just from a business standpoint, they thought they needed a bigger ballpark. And since they weren't going to be able to get that in Brooklyn, they accepted the offer from Los Angeles, even though Walter O'Malley had basically only seen Los Angeles on a map and once on an overhead ride on a helicopter, but it was never his dream to play in Los Angeles. He was from New York. If he could have made it work out in New York, he would have stayed.
Thank you, Corbin.
Thank you.
John Jones.
Mark, thanks. Why did they select the location for Dodger Stadium that they did select?
The reason they selected it was, I mentioned the helicopter ride, and O'Malley had an architectural background. And so when he saw the freeways, that was his most important, because the same theory that he had where the Brooklyn Nets play right now, the Barclays Center, that's where he wanted to build a ballpark because of all the train lines. And so that was the key, to be able to have freeway access, because he realized that was the future, because the streetcars were getting phased out in Los Angeles. So when the city of Los Angeles, the city council had talked about that land, Chavez Ravine, possibly being available, he looked at that, and that was the key, not that land, but all the freeway access. He could see connecting the 110 and the 5, and to be able to have that movement for cars.
Thanks.
Thank you, John. Dennis, did you have a question?
Well, I have two questions. I'll save the second one for later. But the first question, can you comment on the relatively new ownership structure of the Dodgers and how that's working out?
It's amazing, because when I look back, it's funny what I've lived through, because I joined the front office in '94, and I've gone from O'Malley to Fox to Mr. Daly to Mr. McCourt, and then to the Guggenheim, the current group in 2013. And I think the interesting thing is, you can have all the money in the world as far as all the resources, and you really have to have a structure and a philosophy in terms of not only scouting, but farm development and everything like that, because I think you've seen with other teams in other sports, if you give somebody a blank checkbook, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a great team. And so I think it's fascinating to see, because the Dodgers, maybe you look at it 40 years ago, you had the O'Malley family and you had a front office of maybe 40 people. And for example, the PR office, maybe 2 people. And now you've got, and back in the day, as far as the way they divided the ticket levels, you'd have the dugout seats, the box seats, the loge seats, reserve, and the top deck. Let's say, for example, let's take the loge. Even if you were in the corner or behind home plate, it was the same price. And now they've sliced everything up in terms of different prices and different levels. So just the same as far as the seats. It's the same with the sponsorship. It's the same with the television rights. Because the amazing thing is, when the Dodgers first came to Los Angeles in '62, O'Malley did not want TV. He actually started pay TV in '64, and it got tied up in the courts. And 20 years later, it finally got untangled, and that's how HBO came along. But O'Malley talked about pay television in '64. Now, flash ahead, why is the value of franchises getting bigger and bigger? Because of television rights. And so, along with the front office being larger, the evolution of the game, as far as the TV rights, the scouting technology and everything like that, it's really been fascinating, because we've got a lot of resources. But Andrew Friedman, who had a previous life as I guess it's commodities Wall Street, a different philosophy as far as analyzing players. Back in the old days, you'd have a scout, you'd have a stopwatch, you'd have a clipboard and that type of thing. And now you've got video. I just proofed something the other day, the yearbook. And I just felt like I was just like the 100-year-old man, because it had spin rate and all these categories and all these acronyms that I'm really not familiar with. And so the analytical game has taken over too. I'm kind of like old school, as far as you can show me all the formulas you want, but who won the game, and so it's got the same script. It's the same logo since 1938. It's the same ballpark since 1962. it's the same rules pretty much since the 1869. But with analytics, sometimes it's a different way of looking at things.
Okay, I see, Nicole, you have your hand raised.
I do. This is very interesting. Thank you for coming. My dad was the one who memorized all the numbers. I have another interest, and that was Jay Johnstone, who was very helpful for our centennial. Do you have a fun story for us about Jay or two?
Well, Jay Johnstone, who sadly passed away last year, just an amazing guy. And it's funny because when you root for a guy as a kid and then you get to meet them as an adult. The last time I saw Jay, it was at Lacey Park because he was working on an event with Jim Gott, and they were like the honorary starters for a race. And the neat thing about Jay Johnstone is that the sense of humor that he had, and just the torture that he and Jerry Royce would put Tommy Lasorda through as far as spring training. Tommy Lasorda was leaving his bungalow in Vero Beach, and he couldn't get out. And what Jay had done was he had taken a rope and he had tied it to a palm tree, and he had also snuck in his room and took out the little on the phone the mouthpiece. And so when Tommy called the front desk to say that he couldn't get out of his room, they couldn't hear him. And Tommy's going crazy because he's going to miss the bus. And finally, he's thinking he's going to have to, throw a couch through the window, that type thing. And so, things like that. Also, he and Jerry Royce would take Tommy's pants when he'd go on the road trip, the pants that he would leave behind, they would take it in just an eighth of an inch. They knew a tailor. So Tommy would come back and go, gaining weight, and little things like that. One time I'm at a game, and all of a sudden I'm noticing these guys look familiar, the grounds crew, and it's Jerry Royce and Jay Johnstone dragging the infield.
Yeah.
And so that was the beauty about Jay, as far as just always wanting to have fun. But there was also a great thing that Jay did in the 1981 World Series. The Dodgers lost the first two games. Game 3, Fernando wins 5-4. But if you remember Game 4, it's a Saturday. They get off to a slow start. They're down like 4-0, and you lose that game, you're down 3-1. Good luck. And Jay Johnstone in batting practice was predicting that he was going to hit a home run as a pinch hitter, and he was predicting, and he's at batting practice swinging away, saying, "This is what I'm going to do," and he hit a home run in batting practice, and he says, "This is what I'm going to do during the game." And sure enough, it's 4-0, and the Dodgers look dead. And Scully says that on TV. And Johnstone comes up 4th or 5th inning, Ron Davis on the mound, and he hits a home run, just like he had predicted in batting practice. And that really was the pivoting turning point, because then the Dodgers win the next game, and they're up 3-2. But everybody says if Johnstone doesn't hit that homer, certain things you may not pull out that championship in 1981. So as goofy as he was, as zany as he was still a heck of a player. And that's the important thing too. You can have a great sense of humor and be a prankster, but you still have to be a great player. And Jay spent 20 years in the majors and was a big part of Dodger history.
Thank you. That was so much fun.
Thank you, Nicole. Barbara?
Mark, I have a question from Alyssa Lopez, who's a nurse and couldn't be with us today because she's in surgery. But her question is, we now have 2 women on the field in the NFL doing refereeing. Do you see anything like that happening on the baseball diamond for women being umpires? Or?
Oh, absolutely. I think now, it sounds crazy to say that women can do anything in terms of it's just second nature, because 20 years ago we had Kim Ng in the front office, and there's absolutely no reason that there couldn't be a female umpire, female physicians. It's just kind of funny to say that, because if somebody can do the job, I think that's the key. And so it's funny with female reporters. You look at history in 1977. The Dodgers actually allowed the first female reporter in the clubhouse because Major League Baseball didn't want that to happen. And so I think it's very important to look at history as far as different benchmarks along the way, as far as these things that you can't assume. Yeah, sure, why not? Say, hey, there was a time when this couldn't be done or that couldn't be done. And now there's absolutely no reason why there couldn't be by a female umpire. And the question, I've got to tell you this because it brought a smile to my face. One of the great things about this job is you never know what's going to rekindle a memory. And when you said a question from a nurse, the greatest ticket order I ever got was from Nancy Gray, and it was the daughter of Dick Gray, who hit the first home run in Dodger history. He was a third baseman in 1958, later worked for the city of Anaheim. And she gave me a ticket order. It might have been for opening day, and I had a confirmation number for her. And she said, "Oh no, I can't write it down now." And I go, "Why?" She said, "I got my hand in some guy's abdomen." And she was an assistant, and she was working on some procedure. And I was like, "You got to be." I would not want to be a patient and open my eyes and find out, the person helping was ordering tickets over the phone as somebody's cradling the phone on her shoulder. But when I heard that question, all of a sudden I'll never forget that. I got my hand in some guy's abdomen, and she's ordering Dodger tickets.
I'll find out where Alyssa was today and missed it. Thank you. I think, are there any other questions, Aaron, you can see?
Right, Greg Johansson.
Dennis has his hand up.
Hey, Mark,
and
thanks
Dennis.
for joining us today. This is a great presentation. I had the.
Wait a minute, I have a
unique-
question.
Oh, boy. Don't give the
So
microphone to
this
Dennis.
has
I'll never
nothing
stop.
to do with baseball, but I first met Aaron maybe 12, 13, 14 years ago at the YMCA. He and I and others were taking bicycle spinning classes, and he and I were always in the back row because we were probably the two slowest people in the room. But he became my political advisor. I was happy to be running for the city council at that time. And one of the things was this, he mentioned the Special K. Well, I went to stores and bought all boxes of Special K, little Special K bars, and handed them out to people. But he also, and this one I'll never forget, I had forgotten about Special K, but I'll never forget the coin, the slogan that you coined. It was 91108, make it great. And I use that all the time during the campaign and still remember it and still use it. So my question, Mark, by the way, you were a great advisor. My question is, if you were advising the current leadership of San Marino and said 91108, make it great, what would you tell them to do?
The same thing I would tell the leadership of South Pasadena, because I think as I've gotten older, I've looked back, and just like the introduction with Mr. Yucapina, every institution, everything that I took for granted as a kid, I don't. And Ted Shaw, the former manager or the former mayor of South Pasadena, I talked to him about local politics, and he said, take care of the young, take care of the old, because people in the middle should be able to take care of themselves. So I think that's the important thing as far as what one person can do, what a community can do, and especially in this time of the pandemic, everything that we've taken for granted, whether it's pack stands at a baseball, whether it's being able to be at a charity golf tournament and everything like that, I think it's a great lesson for everybody. Don't take what we've taken before for granted. And if you're in the position to help others, especially if you're in city politics and you have a chance to help others, really think it through, because you have a pedestal and you have a responsibility to a community. And I think that's the key. Just like the Dodgers, there's teamwork and community. And I think that's the exact same advice I'd give to South Pasadena as well as San Marino, as far as don't take anything for granted, and just look around and just look at others. And we're all big one team. So anything that you've done in the past, don't forget where you've been, how it came about, and also be optimistic for what can happen in the future.
Thank you, Mark. I want to say that we want to go on. I have an announcement to make, because Mark has generously offered a copy of his book to anyone who asks a question today. And so Gilda's been keeping track, and I'm happy to say this is a great book. It's called Game of My Life, The Dodgers Major Stories of Dodger Baseball. It talks about Carl Erskine, Jim Gott, Vin Scully, Tommy Lasorda. It's a great read, and Mark, thank you for that generous offer, and we will make that available to the people who ask questions. I think if you have a couple comments now about the Dodgers of today, we'd love to hear that.
Here's the beauty about the Dodgers today. I could go on and on about the roster. I could tell you about 3 Cy Young Award winners as far as Trevor Bauer and Clayton Kershaw and, you know, David Price. And the beauty is we don't know what's going to happen. And that's the beauty. Just imagine if you were able to write a check and have the biggest payroll in baseball and you already knew that you were going to win the World Series. Now, from my historical standpoint, I look at things a little different because when people looked at that meltdown in Game 4 of the World Series, when we were 1 strike away from victory and there was that base hit and 2 runs scored by Tampa, you know, so many people were down in the dumps, and I was thinking, hey, this happened in 1941 as far as a Mickey Owen drop strike. And you know, if you look around and you compare notes, things just go in cycles. And so I thought what I would talk about is we've had 6 chances to defend a World Series title, and we're 0 for 6. And so we're trying to do something that's never been done before. And if you think about the 3 times we've really had a chance, and 3 times 13, 13, and 14 games out, 1960, 1964, and 1989 didn't have a chance. The closest we ever came, 1956. If you remember when Don Larson threw the perfect game, it gave the Yankees a 3-2 lead in the series, but the Dodgers still had a chance because they were going back to Ebbets Field, and they're the defending world champs. Clem Labine pitched a 10-inning shutout, Jackie Robinson walk-off hit. So it gets to Game 7 in 1956. They have a chance to defend the championship on their home field. And just like the Astros in 2017, it didn't come to fruition, and the Dodgers lose that game to the Yankees 9-0. Now, look to 1966. They win it all in 65. But the problem was they had to clinch the pennant in Philadelphia with Sandy Koufax in the second game of a doubleheader because they blew the first game of a doubleheader. So Sandy has to pitch that last game, 2 days rest. He's tired. He isn't able to start the opener against the Orioles. Orioles end up sweeping 4 straight, and the Dodgers don't score in the last 33 innings. The last time they had a chance, 1982, if you remember, the Dodgers win it all in 81. And it comes down to the final day of the 1982 season at San Francisco. If they win that game, there's a 1-game playoff against the Braves, who had lost that day in San Diego. And what happens? Fernando starts the game, but they go to the bullpen, and Joe Morgan hits a home run off of Terry Forster, end of the season. So we're optimistic, obviously, this year with such a great roster. You have to be optimistic every year. But that's the challenge. You can look at that roster and go, there's no way. Vegas is saying, look at all the wins they're going to have and everything like that. We'll see you in the World Series. And I say to myself, well, historically, it's never been done before. So that's going to be the challenge. We don't know what's going to happen. You have to have optimism. You've got to have hope like any year, but you just don't know. Historically, it's not been done before. So whatever happens, it's certainly going to be fun to watch.
Well, it will be fun, Mark, and thanks so much for informative, enjoyable, and very timely remarks. We know where your focus will be on Thursday, April 1st, when the Dodgers open against the Rockies in Colorado, hopefully with Kershaw on the mound. We'll be with you in spirit, and some of us might even be with you in Dodger Stadium on April the 9th, when the Dodgers play the Washington Nationals with yet to be announced on the mound. But we really appreciate you being here today. And for those who ask questions, we'll make sure you get Mark's book. And if you had a question and weren't able to ask it, we'll make sure you get a book for as well. So Aaron, this inning's over. And if you have to make some announcements, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mark. Mark, do you have time for one more question?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, we had Greg Johansson that was asking a question, and we'll take his question. Are you there, Greg?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
How you doing, Mark?
I'm well, Greg. How are you?
Good. I had the unique pleasure of my kindergarten class, and it was Mary Jane Johnstone, Jay's daughter, and also Matt Seidler, Walter O'Malley's grandson.
Wow.
So yeah, our class was pretty stacked. We were actually at Fiesta Roller Rink in San Gabriel when all together when Kirk Gibson hit that home run in the World
Oh,
Series. It was pretty cool.
wonderful.
Yeah, and it's funny to think that his other grandson, Peter Seidler, is now the owner of the Padres, the Dodgers' biggest threat.
And I just sent a postcard to Terry Seidler yesterday because I do every year as far as wishing her well for opening day. And I just found a photo of her at the Coliseum, 1958, behind home plate at the screen, watching the action with her husband Rolly in the background. So when you see all those photos, you just never know what memories are going to come to the plate.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's a really nice family. Are you in touch with Peter at all?
Well, just informally. It's more Terry and Peter, and then Tom worked in the front office for a while when he was at the Dodgers, and then seeing Brian, Peter's sons, Brian and Kevin, and then his daughter Annette. But as far as the other Seidlers, they've gone to the Padres, so we don't see them as much. It's more contact through Peter and Terry.
That's cool. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you for staying for that extra question. Mark, we will be donating a book on your behalf to our local Crow library. So thank you so much for coming today. Everyone, we can give a round of applause to Mark, and thank you, Barbara, for bringing that program to us. All right, let's see. Okay, we still have some announcements. Isaac, thank you so much for your patience and waiting.
Thank you, Aaron. Just a quick 3 announcements. The first one is our business plan competition that's going to be held April 15. And this is an annual event that we skipped the last year. It's going to be very interesting and fun. We're hosting 5 to 6 projects from the San Marino High School students. They will be given an opportunity to present their business plans and their business concepts. However, I'm inviting any of the members to join the panel of judges. We have assembled 4 judges, and we are still needing 2. If you're interested, please let me know. It's not going to be difficult. We'll have a sheet of paper and we'll do the evaluations. And I'm sure all of them are really great. The only difficulty part is to rank them in their rankings. So let me know if you are interested in being a judge. Number 2, East Meets West Parent Education Club is also hosting a webinar this Sunday, March 28th at 2 p.m. This is an interesting one. We've interviewed Dr. Cynthia Pan from the city of New York. She is she practices internal medicine as well as a palliative care expert. She contracted COVID-19 last year. Both she and her husband got the COVID-19, and she had a few kids at home. So she was going to, it was a rather difficult time. So she's going to share about how they cope with COVID-19 during that time, as well as afterwards, how they reestablished the family relations and family atmosphere. She's also going to touch up a little bit on the palliative care, which is quite interesting area of medicine they're practicing. So that will be March 28th at 2 p.m. I'm going to post a link so you can follow with the Zoom. The third one is just in case if you missed San Marino High School former history teacher, Steve Ford. Steve presented the General Patton with our club early January, brought to you by Bill Payne. And Bill brought him in and gave a very interesting history of General Patton in relationship to our local histories, because he had resided in San Marino for a while. So Historical Society, joining with the Crow Public Library, we'll have another session with Steve Ford that will be Monday, this coming Monday, March 29th at 7 p.m. And if you are looking for the Zoom link, either go to the library website or San Marino Historical Society website. We have the web link for you to join for the Zoom webinars. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you so much, Isaac. Okay, let's see. Our first announcement after Isaac here is please join Valentine's Cub Scout Den 3 and San Marino BSA Boy Scout of America Troops 351 boys and girls for a candlelight vigil, mourning the victims of the Atlantic shootings and standing in solidarity with Asian Americans, Asians, and Pacific Islanders. It's this Friday, March 26th, starting at 6 p.m. The candle lighting begins at 6:30. Please bring a flashlight or cell phone as no open flames are permitted. So this is this Friday at Lacey Park. And I'm gonna try to be there. I know Isaac said he's gonna be there, so hope to see some Rotarians out there. All right, let's see. Gilda states that scholarship deadline is on April 2nd. So if you can remind your students about that. There is an egg hunt sponsored by the city, Saturday, April 3rd. I'm happy to state that we will be participating in the egg hunt. It's actually a social distancing egg hunt drive-through. There's going to be different organizations stationed around the city. The participants are going to get a map and they're going to drive around and get a little treat. So Rotary is participating Saturday, April 3rd. We're looking for 3 volunteers, 1 volunteer at the 8 to 10 a.m. shift, and then 2 at the 10 to 12 p.m. shift. So if anyone would like to volunteer, please send me a message. We'd be happy to have you. Mary Yulin, all right, great. Thank you so much, Mary. What shift are you looking to do? If you're on mute.
What were the 2 times?
8 to 10 or 10 to 12?
I'll do 8 to 10, get up bright and early.
Perfect. All right. So we're looking for 2 more volunteers from 10 to 12. Feel free to send me a message. Okay.
Will you send an email to remind me?
Yes. Everybody who volunteers, I will make sure we send an email, all the details of what we're going to do to keep everyone safe and all that good stuff.
Thank you.
Okay. Dues. Let's talk about dues. Is Dennis still with me? Yes, he is.
I am.
Okay. Fourth quarter dues.
I've talked with Aaron, and our budget for next year, for this year, is to break even. Of course, with the pandemic, everything got all cattywampus, and we've adjusted as we've gone along. But as the chart shows, normally the quarterly dues would be $318. Every quarter we've reduced it as we keep looking forward. We're looking forward. The only thing that we're going to bill for this next quarter, starting April 1st, is the $63 that goes to Rotary charities. So that money, every penny of that stays within our quote organization, the club and charities. So no dues, nothing else except your donation to Rotary charities, and those bills will be going out in the first week or 2 of April once I get back in town, and then the charge to the credit card will be later in April. But that's what we're looking at for the quarterly dues. And thank you, Aaron, for your advice on this. And it was good. I think this is a good ending for the year. Let me, one other quick little comment. I have been in touch with Skip Obermeyer at the church to see where they stand on allowing in-person gatherings like in fellowship hall. And right now they just don't know. There is no answer right now. So we're going along assuming that we will not be meeting in person during this next quarter. But we'll see.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis. So just to recap, normally our dues are 120 plus meals are 120, Paul Harris is 15, charities fundraising 63, that's a total of 318. Next quarter, starting in April, $0 for dues, $0 for meals, of course, $0 for Paul Harris, and 63 for charities. So your bill will be $63. So thank you very much. All right. Any questions for Dennis on dues, Barbara?
No, not a question for Dennis, but I did receive via the chat 4 more questions, which I will email to Mark and get answers and get them back to you at the next meeting.
Terrific, terrific. Yeah, I know everyone, we had quite a few questions for Mark. Let's see, Gilda, you wanted to talk about the scholarships?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, so it's the Barth Scholarship. This is our 3rd year. We have 2 awards, $2,500. And the application is on the San Marino Rotary website. You'll see the link when you go on the first page. Chris has put it up there for us. So I don't know if Jason is still on. I did see it in the constant contact. It's only for seniors at Southwestern and at San Marino High School. And the deadline is right around the corner, April 2nd. We have not received any applications yet. So I imagine everything is gonna come in on April 2nd. But just a reminder that it's out there and please apply. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilda. The other thing I wanted to share, oh my God, I can't show this. Let's see. Okay, well, we have a article in the Tribune. Can y'all see that? Oh, there we go.
Hold it right
Yeah,
up there.
yeah, Rotary Speaker comes full circle. So it's front page on the Tribune. So I just wanted to thank Bill Payne and Mitch, if you're there, thank you so much for featuring that story. And thank you for all that you do for Rotary. Okay, I believe that is it. Does anyone else have any other announcements? Okay. We want to thank our guests. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you to Corbin Wong, Jen Chuang, Justin Lee, Scott Weiss, Marcelo Marlowe, and of course our speaker, Mark Langill. Thank you all for attending today. The March 25th, 2021 meeting of the Rotary Club of San Marino is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you. That
Good
was
meeting, Aaron. Good meeting.
Thank
Great.
you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Barbara.